Steve Weiss, you own all 4 of these stocks. What do you expect to see today, and will there be any reaction to the shares?
You know, I doubt it. I mean, clearly there will be some tough questions. There'll be a lot of grandstanding, as we've seen. But at the end of the day, if Congress really wants to break up these companies, you'll find 2 things. Number one, it's going to take years to do. We saw Microsoft's antitrust lawsuit just drag on and on. Then you'll see that perhaps these companies, at least a few of them, are worth more broken up than they are as one entity, and that they'll increase their advertising revenues. And the valuation, for example, Apple's App Store, maybe it increases, and you get a higher multiple than everybody complaining about the multiple because it's primarily a phone manufacturer now. So, but at the end of the day, I think what you're seeing now is what you'll see when everything's done. There'll just be nothing here other than a lot of news headlines and so forth. But we do have to watch what happens in Europe, because I guarantee you they're looking at this, they're listening, and they can take a much harder stance than the U.S. may.
I mean, it's unclear as well, since, Eamon was referencing what the president was tweeting about a few moments ago. It's fairly limited, you would think, what he can do, Steve, from an executive order standpoint. Then you have to go into the bigger picture about what, if any, regulations you think would come from all of this, and then what the potential hit would be to any of these companies' earnings.
Right, and there is bipartisan support. Not that that is any remedy for breaking the deadlock. From an executive order standpoint, it would also be challenged, and it can be challenged beyond the election. So look, it may keep a lid in these stocks as they continue to be in the news, as we saw briefly when you saw Apple taxed in Europe, in Ireland, because by the EU, because they didn't pay tax in Ireland. So you'd rather not see the political risk there, but at the end of the day, it's going to be what they report in earnings, and we're going to see those coming up that's going to drive this stock. I expect the CEOs to talk about how much they're spending, why they're not monopolies, and do you really want to be the congressperson that comes out and says, we think Amazon has a monopoly, that they don't charge enough, that they put people out of business. I don't think that's a good position to be in for the consumers who vote and keep these people elected.
Yeah. We're hearing, by the way, 1 p.m. is the start time now for this hearing. Again, originally scheduled for 12 p.m. There's been a bit of a delay. There were some other hearings taking place. So the top of the hour, you're going to have to wait 45 more minutes to see the CEOs of these 4 tech giants. And we will certainly take you there as soon as we hear from them. Carrie Firestone, you own all 4 stocks as well yourself. What do you expect? Do you have any idea if there's going to be an impact on any of these stocks going forward as a result of what you hear today?
Well, I don't think that today is the most important factor in the trajectory of the stocks, because the CEOs are extremely well prepared. This is a hearing that they've had a lot of time to think through. What is it that they're going to face? The critics will be somewhat hostile. Everyone on Capitol Hill has an agenda. This is not the time, however, in the economic cycle and this environment. Remember, we're in a pandemic. We have a recession. Nobody's there. Literally, they're all virtual. And so the country has so many more issues to face rather than sort of cracking the whip on some of the fastest growing businesses in the world. Not to say that they are blameless, and there are issues about monopolistic behavior and competition, and privacy and freedom of speech and access. But we all know that the world has been focused on social media and looking at their phones and their screens for months now. And these are the companies that bring products to your house and allow you to communicate with each other. So I just think it's something that needs to be done. They had to get through it. Is there going to be a big impact on the stock price? I don't think so. If one of them reported a very, very disturbing quarter in the next day, that would have more of an impact on these hearings. We haven't made any change in our position. As a group, these stocks have been tremendously successful this year. And again, that's because they've been resilient. They've been able to keep selling, keep producing, keep servicing, and that's where consumers have come to, the digital platforms, and there's no reason to think that's going to change any time in the near future.
Joe, you bring a unique perspective today because you're really one of the only investment committee members who's sold or taken some profits from these stocks recently. You did so with Amazon. I know you're a holder of Apple, but tell us how you're viewing things today.
So the least concern that I have as it relates to Apple, Tim Cook has a very strong relationship with both lawmakers, Republicans and Democrats. I think it is interesting, the presence, the first-time appearance for Jeff Bezos before these legislators. I think if there is to be an impact, and I agree with Steve and Carrie, I don't see that there will be a significant impact. It's only going to be if they turn on each other. And I think that's where lawmakers can really make some headway here. The ability to ask Tim Cook about Alphabet and about its search engine, which is Google. The ability to ask Amazon about products that they don't allow to be sold, such as the products from Google. So turning the CEOs on each other, I think you'll be able to get the lawmakers to the point of where they really want to be, which is better education, better understanding, and the potential to improve the environment. But other than that, if we're just asking siloed questions to each CEO, I don't expect that you're going to have much impact at all. And 24 hours later, you're going to get earnings that will be far more important.